at the Earth and Spirit Center, joined once again by Dr. Tony Zipple. Hello, Tony.
Hey, Kyle, great to be here.
Yes, it's good to be with you again. I've gotten to know your background really well for all these videos we've recorded, but this time we're going to talk about a retreat that you are offering, which I believe is a first for you here at the Earth and Spirit Center, first for us, a mindful happiness retreat, an introduction to strategies for peace and well-being. And I have to think that aside from like death and taxes, the one thing we all hold in common is a desire to be happy. So I'm really excited, not only about this retreat, but just about the work you've done more generally here at the Earth and Spirit Center. You come from a positive psychology background, and you have really helped us put together mindfulness with this pursuit of well-being and all the great kind of strategies that surround that. So I wonder, I suppose, for anyone who's not familiar with you and your work and the other courses and offerings you've facilitated here at the Earth and Spirit Center, can you just say a word or two about your background and what qualifies you to be Dr. Happiness?
Well, I'm a psychologist by training, although I haven't done direct clinical work for a while. Most of my career, I've run large community behavioral health organizations and been responsible for building services that help people to have better lives in spite of the fact of having some underlying psychological or emotional conditions that get in the way. And I've always been fascinated by the question of how do we have a good life in the face of the bad things that happen? You know, we all get bumped around in life by all kinds of things. We all experience trauma and stress and difficulty, and we all want to have good, happy lives as well. And so how do you bridge that? How do you make that happen? And that brought me into the area of positive psychology, which is, basically the study of happiness. How do we support people being happier, recognizing that not everything goes well in life all the time?
Absolutely. But as they say in the Buddhist tradition, you don't have to shoot yourself with the second arrow. If the first arrow is the suffering you can't avoid, the second arrow is whatever you pile on top of that unnecessarily. So this retreat, let's talk a little bit about it. It's in March 30th. It's a Saturday, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. So a good chunk of the day. And what kind of content are you hoping to cover there? And then let's talk about who might be the best audience. Obviously, anyone who wants to be happy, which I think is everyone. But let's talk a little bit about the content.
Well, as you know, I did a series this fall called Habits of Happiness, which was six 90-minute sessions over 6 weeks. And we talked a lot about, why happiness is important, what it does for us in terms of psychological and emotional and physical health, and our ability to actually choose to be happier if we build habits that help us to be happier. And it was really well received. I think people got a lot out of it. And we want to repeat some of that, but in a different format. Monday evenings I've heard is tough for some people. I've heard from a few people that, well, would have liked to have come, but 7 o'clock on Monday evenings, other obligations, it was hard. So I want to format some of this in a shorter 1 day event, a retreat on a Saturday, to make it accessible to people that might not be able to do the evening work. And what we're going to do is talk about much of the same content that we talked about in the 6 week series. What is happiness? Why is it important? Why is it that you deserve to be happy? What are the things that you can do to build happiness? And it's going to be not just, me lecturing for 6 hours. There's a lot of experiential content to it. So we'll cover things like, what's the relationship of social connection to happiness? And what are things we can do to have higher levels of social connection that support our happiness? We'll do some talking about things like how do we take in the good things that do happen in our lives, to recognize those things and really absorb them in a way that changes those, quick passing moments of happiness into something that are really lasting traits for us. So that's the kind of the material that we want to cover, some lecture, some practice, and I want to send people away with a little bit of a toolkit that if they do at least one or two of these things on a regular basis, it's going to increase their happiness at least a little bit.
I love the idea that while we can't control all the circumstances of our life, happiness is not just the draw of the lottery ticket or the the random chance. It's something you can be intentional about, and you obviously can't control all your circumstances, but you can control how you react to them and the tools that you have, as you say, in your toolkit to cultivate this, just like build a happiness muscle on some level. um, you mentioned that there's going to be overlap between a lot of the content you've covered in our other courses on happiness that you've taught. Um, uh, does that mean that folks who have engaged with you otherwise through monthly meetings or through that course, is there an invitation for them as well? Who's going to be the best audience?
Yeah, I think it really can cover almost anybody. If you've been to one of the other courses I've run, or you're a regular at our happiness discussion group once a month on Thursdays, you'll find some of the lecture and structure for this familiar. But there's value, I think, often in hearing things again after
Or
you've
even seven
put them.
times, right?
Well, yeah, and the fresh hearing of it, and I practice it again, and maybe it didn't connect as much this time, and it connects
Yeah.
more this time. So if you've done it already with me, you may want to come back for some review and
Mhm.
refresh. On the other hand, you just don't want to expect a whole day of brand new material.
Right. Well, and the other thing that I would mention is the community aspect. I mean, when this is not just about learning content, this is about learning that content, absorbing it, perhaps for the not the first time, but in a supportive community of folks who are also really doing that good, hard work to try and cultivate happiness in their own lives. Well,
Absolutely. And I say, we've had people that have been in these groups that have ranged in age from, early 20s to late 80s or 90-ish. Men and women from all walks of life, retired, not retired, parents, not parents. The thing that they have in common is the place that you started. Every one of us would love the opportunity to be at least a little bit happier. No matter where we are today, a little bit happier is a good thing. And if we can get a bit of a nudge for that, a few more skills, a little practice, a little bit of habit built that increases our subjective well-being, does wonderful things for us.
absolutely. And I think that's just a testament not only to folks' desire and need to cultivate happiness in their life, but just to the um, uh, yeah, the universality of that topic insofar as I think your classes and monthly gatherings, they gather probably the most diverse group of folks across all of our programming. Again, it just points to that fact that whether you're 20 or 90 or anywhere in between, or whatever your life circumstances, you deserve to be happy, and there's ways to cultivate that in a stronger way. Well,
And
Tony,
there's a lot of room for it in Kentucky. When you look at ranking of states
oh
on
gosh, yeah,
happiness indexes, Kentucky is a bottom 10% state.
yeah.
We have lots of stresses and challenges, and how do we maintain good care of our emotional selves in the
Right.
face of some of those challenges, is a really important topic.
Well, so glad that you're offering these resources, and so glad that the Earth and Spirit Center can be a place where we can apply mindfulness to all these various practical concerns of happiness and well-being. Again, the title of your retreat is a Mindful Happiness Retreat, an Introduction to Strategies for Peace and Well-being. It's going to take place on Saturday, March 30th from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Folks can learn more by clicking on the link accompanying this video, or by going to our website, earthandspiritcenter.org. So, Tony, we're very much looking forward to it, and thanks a lot for offering it.
I'm looking forward to it as well, Kyle. Thanks for hosting it.